Millionaire's girlfriend sees homeless boy and reveals heartwarming truth that changes everything. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over the bustling city. As crowds swirled around luxury shops and extravagant cafes, a young woman named Christine, the girlfriend of a wealthy entrepreneur, felt an unusual pull in her chest. She often strolled these affluent streets, adorned in designer clothes that sparkled under the daylight. Yet on this particular day, as she rounded the corner of Maple and Vine, she nearly stumbled over something. A boy, perhaps no older than 12, huddled in a tattered blanket near a store window filled with extravagant displays of wealth. His eyes, wide and pleading, were a piercing blue that seemed to trap the very essence of despair. The contrast between his dirt-smudged cheeks and the gleaming walls of the store behind him was grotesque. People brushed past, oblivious to his silent suffering, their shoes clicking along the pavement like a dreary metronome of indifference. But Christine couldn't shake the feeling of fate nudging her forward. As she knelt beside him, the boy flinched, expecting the typical scorn. Instead, she offered a small smile, her heart pounding. In that single moment, an electric tension hung in the air. "What is your name?" she asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lucas," he mumbled, eyes darting away, shame evident. Something inside of Christine twisted painfully. It didn't make sense. This child, existing in a world where he should be safe, instead faced the harsh reality of survival. She felt the lump in her throat swell, pushing against her better judgment. Suddenly, as if the universe was conspiring to intertwine their lives, a loud crash erupted behind them. A group of teenagers on bikes had a minor accident, causing startled gasps from the crowd. All attention swiveled from the boy to this new spectacle, but Christine remained grounded, fixated on the quiet storm brewing in Lucas's gaze. "What do you want?" she dared to ask, and the question startled him. His eyes widened as if she had pulled him from a trance. "Want? I just want to go home." The weight of his words settled heavily between them, and Christine could feel the quickening beats of her heart. Home. What did that mean when home was a far-off dream for him? Then came the pivotal moment. Christine noticed something glinting faintly at his wrist, a simple, silver bracelet. It looked oddly familiar, wrong in this setting. She leaned closer, her eyes narrowing. "Where did you get that?" she asked, her pulse furious in her ears. Before Lucas could respond, they were interrupted. "Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The crowd continued to murmur around them, the moment charged with unspoken possibilities. Christine's throat felt dry as she urged Lucas to answer. With a shaky breath, he uttered the words that would forever change the course of their lives. "It was my mom's before she disappeared." Just like that, hope and dread tangled, swirling into something neither of them could fully comprehend. What did he mean? And why was his mother's bracelet so significant? The intrigue deepened, and the air thickened with anticipation. As their eyes locked, questions danced between them like flickering shadows. What secrets lay in Lucas's story? And could Christine rise to the challenge that fate had unexpectedly tossed her way? The silence between them stretched, pulling tighter with every passing second. Christine's heart raced, not just from the words hanging between them, but from the sudden realization of how intertwined their fates had become. This boy, with his haunting eyes and trembling voice, was more than just a stranger. He was a puzzle piece that had slipped into her pristine world. "Disappeared?" she echoed, her voice faltering. Thoughts raced. What did that even mean? Did his mother leave him? Or was there something darker lurking behind those words? Lucas nodded, the glimmer of hope in his eyes dimming. "She didn't just leave. I don't know what happened to her. One day she was here, and the next she was gone." His gaze flickered to the ground, shame ripping through the bravery he had shown moments before. Christine felt a visceral pull in her gut, an aching sympathy. The city was bustling around them, laughter, music, and the clinking of glasses floated in the air, but here, in this silent bubble, they were suspended in a reality that was anything but glittery. What does that bracelet mean? Christine ventured cautiously, real concern etched in her features. She reached out, her fingers barely brushing the cool metal, unearthing a memory that ignited a flicker in her mind. It was the last thing she gave me. Lucas swallowed hard, his voice trembling. Before she disappeared. The crowd surged around them, but Christine's focus narrowed down to Lucas. She felt the weight of his sorrow like a stone in her chest. The world was still moving, but everything else faded into a murmur. Do you think she'll come back? Christine asked, the words tumbling out, vulnerable and raw. Do you have a place to stay? He laughed quietly, devoid of mirth, eyes glistening. I don't think so. No one looks for a homeless kid. The resolve in his voice faltered, revealing the deep-seated fear beneath it. Just then, a loud shout erupted from the crowd. Watch out! Christine turned in shock as people scattered away from the street. A black SUV barreled toward them, weaving through the crowd like a menacing shadow. Screams erupted as the vehicle lurched, tires screeching ominously. Christine grabbed Lucas's arm, pulling him back just in time. They stumbled to the side, adrenaline shooting through her veins as fear wrestled with urgency. The SUV skidded to a halt, inches from them, and the doors flung open. A woman in dark sunglasses and an expensive suit climbed out, her expression fierce and determined. "Lucas, get in," she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Confusion flashed across Lucas's face. Who is she? Christine felt a chill run down her spine. This was no ordinary rescue. The woman radiated power and intent. Do you know her? I don't know. But before Lucas could finish, the woman locked eyes with him, her tone calming yet urgent. We don't have time to explain, we have to go now. The street erupted into chaos. Christine felt as if time had slowed. Who was this woman? Did she hold the key to Lucas's past? And were they really in danger? With the weight of an unfathomable decision crushing her chest, Christine faced Lucas. His eyes reflected her own turmoil. Could they trust this stranger? As his gaze pleaded for safety, Christine's heart pounded. Should she let him go, follow this woman into the unknown, or protect him from what felt like another threat? In that critical moment, everything shifted. Choices loomed in the air thick and heavy. And just as Christine opened her mouth to speak, the woman's voice cut in, sharp as glass. He*s in danger. Christine, you need to trust me. What was the truth lurking just out of reach? And what was coming for them from the shadows? Christine's mind was a whirlwind, panic mixing with a throbbing pulse in her throat. Lucas, she whispered, her voice barely rising above the chaos. What do we do? Get in. You have to trust me. The woman insisted, her eyes darting around them, scanning the nervous crowd as if danger lurked just beyond the people. Lucas hesitated, torn between the mystery of his past and the fear of the unknown. I don't know her, Christine. We can't go with her. But there was something in the woman's gaze, a fierce determination that sent chills down Christine's spine. That look suggested she knew something crucial, something dangerous. And if Lucas was in danger, she couldn't walk away now. Come on, we have to go. Christine reached for Lucas's hand, squeezing it tightly. Let us trust her. We can't stay here. Just as she uttered those words, a loud crash boomed from the direction of the SUV, making her jump. Someone had opened fire. Christine's heart stopped. The screams grew sharper, punctuating the chaos as people dove for cover, desperately trying to get away from the chaos. Now, the woman shouted again, urgency coating every syllable. Christine's heart raced. It was now or never. Okay, Lucas stammered, panic gripping him. He finally moved, throwing open the door of the SUV and climbing in beside the woman. Christine followed, her stomach churning at the thought of what lay behind them. The door slammed shut just as the woman revved the engine. The SUV roared to life, tearing away from the chaos that felt like a nightmare behind them. Christine's breath hitched, the comfort of the vehicle at odds with the dread still pulsing through her veins. As they sped away, the woman reached into the glove compartment. You two need to listen carefully. I'm about to explain why you're in danger. Christine cast a sideways glance at Lucas, whose eyes were wide with fear and confusion. Your mother, Lucas, the woman began, her tone low and grave. She has been involved in something far more complex than you can imagine. And now, they're coming for you. Lucas's face twisted in anguish. What do you mean? Who is coming for me? Is she really in trouble? Christine wrapped her arm around him, feeling the tremor in his body. He was mere inches away, her friendship dangling on a thread of desperation. Please, just tell us, she urged. There are people who want to silence her, Lucas. They believe you might know something, and they want to stop until they find you. She continued, her eyes fierce with intensity. We need to get you to a safe place where they can't reach you. Silence her? Christine echoed, grappling with the weight of the words. What did she do? The woman turned to Christine, searching her face. Your lives are now intertwined. You may be her only hope. As the SUV flew through the city, the shadows felt heavier. Christine could feel the threat breathing down their necks, scrabbling to claw them back into the whirlwind that had just unfolded. What could we possibly do? We can figure it out, the woman replied sharply, her determination alight in the darkness. But we need to keep moving. They're already on our trail. Suddenly, a loud bang made the vehicle jolt. Christine gasped, her heart leaping into her throat. She turned around in time to see another black SUV tailing them, tires screeching as it pushed to catch up. Hold on, the woman shouted, slamming on the gas. Fear electrified the air, merging with the knowledge that they were trapped in an escape they may not survive. Christine grabbed Lucas's hand tighter, the urgency cementing their partnership. How had they gotten entangled in this deadly chase? But one thought blared louder than the rest in her mind. Who were they really running from? And could they outrun the shadows creeping ever closer? As they fled deeper into the chaos, Christine felt hope slipping away like sand through her fingers. The unknown loomed ahead, a darkness she couldn't quite define. But it was that very mystery that urged her on, even as questions churned within. What piece of the puzzle held the key to their survival? And could they really trust someone they barely knew? Get down, the woman yelled, swerving the SUV sharply. Christine's heart could hardly keep pace with the frenetic scene unfolding around them. The other SUV followed closely, relentless as it chased through the narrow streets. Who are they? Lucas' voice trembled, the raw edge of panic evident. Criminals, the woman snapped, checking the rearview mirror. They want your mother's secrets, and you're key to finding them. Christine squeezed Lucas's hand tighter. The truth felt like a crushing weight. But how? With a jolt, the SUV took a hard left, the tires screeching against asphalt. Christine glimpsed the figures in the other vehicle, faceless men with cold intentions, eyes glinting with urgency. Just stay low, and don't make any sudden moves, the woman commanded, her focus unwavering even under pressure. Christine felt the air thicken with tension as they flew past rows of storefronts, their colors blurring into streaks of light and shadow. Suddenly, the woman's cell phone buzzed violently. She fumbled for it, a quick glance down telling her everything she needed to know. They're getting closer, she muttered, adjusting her grip on the wheel. We need to lose them or find a way to fight back. What do you mean fight back? Lucas asked, fear clinging to every word. The woman glanced briefly at them, her eyes shadowed with seriousness. If they catch us, it'll be over. We'll have no chance. But if we can find a way to give them something they want, it might buy us time. Your mother's connections could be our key. That is crazy, Christine shouted, suddenly feeling bold enough to speak up. The idea of holding Lucas' mother as a bargaining chip disgusted her, but they seemed to be running out of options. And what if they don't play by the rules? They won tea, the woman admitted, her voice steady. But we can use that to our advantage. I've got a plan, but you need to trust me, both of you. Christine couldn't shake the feeling burrowing deep in her gut. The more they talked, the thicker the air grew with uncertainty. What if your plan fails? What if enough? The woman's tone turned sharp, slicing through the tension that cocooned them. I need you both to keep your heads in the game. We have no choice if we want to survive this. Behind them, the black SUV closed in, the sound of its engine drumming against the heavy silence inside their vehicle. Christine felt her heart trip in her chest, a pulse of anxiety wrapping around her. Would it even matter if they had a plan when all they could do was run? A bright flash caught Christine's eye. The other SUV had turned its headlights on full beam, and she squinted against the glare. The figures broke into a jagged silhouette as they took up a position. The chase was turning ruthless. Hang on. The woman shouted again, flooring the accelerator. The SUV surged forward, the buildings blurring by faster. Christine's breath grew shallow, each beat pounding with wild fear. And then suddenly, they screeched to a halt. What the? Christine managed to gasp, glancing at the woman who had jumped out, gun drawn, pointing it toward an alley up ahead. Get out. Now. She barked, voice tense. What are you doing? Lucas shouted. Are you crazy? It's the only way to disrupt them. Follow me. The woman dashed for the alley, urgency pulsing in her every movement. The cold torrent of reality rushed through Christine. They were fleeing from armed individuals. Her sanctuary faded behind them in a moment of bravery. Whatever lay ahead in that alley was an unknown gamble, but staying wasn't an option. Christine willed her legs to move, pulling Lucas along with her as they followed the woman into the dark maw that opened before them. Tension crackled in the air, thick as smoke, and each heartbeat echoed with questions and uncertainty. What kind of world have they stumbled into? And would they find safety, or just another trap waiting to snap shut on them? The shadows of the alley swallowed them whole as they sprinted, the sounds of the city fading to a distant roar. Christine turned to Lucas, his eyes wide with terror. What if she gets hurt? What if we don't get out of here? Her voice wavered, fear clawing at her throat. Trust her, Lucas whispered, though his own doubts gnawed at him like hungry rats. They barely made it inside before the woman spun around. Stay behind me. In the dim light, Christine could make out emergency exit signs flickering above them, the walls lined with graffiti that seemed to watch them, scrawling warnings in chaotic lettering. Her mind raced. They were trapped in a cityscape turned villainous, steeped in a terror she had only seen in movies. The woman held her gun steady, her eyes scanning for movement. We're going to have to hold them off, she said, breathing hard. I need you both to find a way out of here while I distract them. What? You're insane. You can't leave us, Christine shouted, desperation clawing at her voice. Just listen. The woman's gaze was fierce. There's a door at the end of the alley. If it's unlocked, it leads to the subway. You two need to go now. Christine glanced at Lucas, who looked hopelessly torn. And what about you? I'll be fine, she lied, though the tremor in her voice betrayed her. Just go? They didn't have time to argue. The echo of heavy footsteps grew louder, aggressive voices mingling with the clatter of hurried breaths. We don't have a choice, Lucas. Christine pulled him toward the hallway. We have to move. With a final look back at the woman, they sprinted down the alley, their shoes pounding against the grimy concrete. Each step felt heavier than the last, as the threat lurked closer. At the end of the alley, Christine's heart raced when she found the door. She pushed against it hard, but it wouldn't budge. Her palms grew slick with sweat as panic set in. It's locked. Try again, Lucas urged, eyes darting back towards the entrance of the alley, the shadows deepening as figures emerged. The tension in her chest tightened. Taking a deep breath, Christine slammed her shoulder against the door, and this time it flew open with a creak, revealing a narrow staircase that led down into fuzzed darkness. Go, she insisted, shoving Lucas in front of her before taking a moment to glance back. The alley held nothing but danger now. She felt the prickle of dread overtake her once more. As they descended, an explosion of sound surged through the air behind them. The woman's voice rang out, filled with defiance. You want them? You'll have to go through me first. It cut through the chaos like a lifeline, even as it faded. Keep going, Lucas urged, pulling her along, and they finally landed at the bottom of the stairs, breathless and trembling. It smelled of damp and rust, but it was better than facing the hunt above. They stepped onto the subway platform, the flickering fluorescent lights casting elongating shadows. A train screeched into view, the doors opening with an electronic hiss. Christine could see their context fade away from her. Safety became uncertain as it all swirled in confusion. I can't believe we left her, Christine blurted, guilt tightening her chest. What if something happens? She said she'd be fine, Lucas insisted, trying to comfort her though his own thoughts were racing. We need to think about us right now. With shaky breaths, they stepped inside the train, the doors sliding shut behind them, sealing off their reality. But as the train jolted forward, Christine couldn't shake the sense of doom growing inside her. What would they do if they got away? What would happen next? The stakes were high and growing by the second. Christine's heart raced again, But it wasn't just fear this time. A seed of determination sprouted within her. They had come this far, and they would find a way to turn the tables. Except that desire wavered as she glanced at Lucas. His face was pale, shadowed with the weight of their reality. There was more to lose now. And just as she began to process everything, a figure stepped into the doorway of the train, cloaked in darkness, shifting like smoke. "Where do you think you're going?" A voice called out, smooth and lethal. The moment sank into her like lead. Could they even escape the nightmare? Would they be dragged back into that dark alley, lost forever? The pressure tightened around them, and she realized this was only the beginning. The air inside the train hummed with tension, thick and suffocating. Christine felt it wrap around her, constricting her chest. The figure blocking the door was tall, their face hidden beneath the brim of a dark cap. Even in the dim train lights, an aura of menace radiated from them. "Move," Lucas hissed, pulling Christine toward the back of the car, but she couldn't tear her gaze away from the figure. There was something about the way they stood, the confidence radiating from that shadowy frame, that made her freeze. "Let me make this clear," the voice continued, dripping with a predatory calm that made Christine's skin crawl. "You two are not leaving until I say so." The words settled over them like fog, muffling the distant rumble of the subway train. Panic threaded through her veins. She had seen this before: bad choices, wrong turns, and now they were teetering on the edge of a cliff. "Lucas," she started, but he interrupted. "Stay close to me," he whispered fiercely. "We will find a way through this." The figure took a step forward, the train jolting as they moved, creating a momentary chaos that threw off the equilibrium of everyone inside. Shadows danced, and for a split second, Christine thought she saw eyes glinting with something darker behind the cap as shadow. Suddenly, a shrill alarm pierced the air, a mechanical scream that matched the chaos brewing in Christine's heart. The doors of the subway car slid open again, and fresh strangers poured in, drawn by the commotion. "Out of the way," someone shouted, pushing past the figure in black. It was a rush of bodies, filled with panic, laughter, and questions. But beneath it all, Christine felt the danger growing, like a storm churning just outside of their reach. "Go," urged a voice from the crowd, breaking through the cacophony. It was a woman, desperate and unsteady. "Get out before they trap you." Christine felt Lucas's grip tighten around her wrist, but she hesitated. Where could they run in this moving metal cage? "Listen." The figure now turned slightly, revealing a jawline clenched tight. "You think running will save you? The maze above is worse. You'll lead them right to you." Her heart raced. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice louder than she intended. The figure laughed, a harsh sound that echoed against the stainless steel walls. "Does it matter? I'm your only chance. Underestimating me will be your biggest mistake. Why should we trust you?" Lucas questioned, eyes narrowing. "You are just as dangerous as the rest of them." A flash of anger flared across the figure's hidden features, but then it dissipated, replaced by something unreadable. "Because I know who's after you, and I know how to keep you alive." Christine felt the stirrings of hope battling against her instinct to flee. "You're saying you can protect us?" "Not protect you, hide you. But you have to keep up," the cloaked figure said, stepping back, gesturing toward the door. Out of nowhere, a loud crash echoed from behind the train, followed by frantic shouting. Christine's heart thudded painfully. This was it. The moment she would choose between opportunity and fear. "Make your choice," the figure urged, urgency flashing in their eyes. Now, as the outside chaos broke out, she glanced at Lucas. Their eyes locked, and for that brief moment, they shared a private understanding: the risk of staying or going was just the same. And then the lights flickered, plunging them into darkness. With a shudder, the subway came to an abrupt halt. The air felt electric, pregnant with tension. People murmured, unsure. Christine's heartbeat drummed louder in her ears, drowning out the voices. But the real threat hovered just beyond their safety. "We're running out of time," the figure urged, shifting closer. "You've got to decide. Are you in or out?" A sense of urgency pierced through her fear. This was not just about escaping anymore. This was about life, survival, and secrets that lay buried beneath the surface. And then, without fully understanding why, Christine nodded. They had come this far, and she would not be put back into that alley without a fight. "Okay," she said, steeling herself. "We're in." The figure's lips curled into an almost imperceptible smile, and that was when Christine felt a chill running down her spine, mixed with the thrill of coming danger. But as the darkness enveloped them, she couldn't shake the feeling that even deeper shadows awaited them, lurking just around the next corner. The train trembled, and for a moment, silence reigned. Christine could feel the presence of the figure pressing in around them like a physical weight. Her breathing quickened, mixing with the rustling of fabric and the shallow murmurs of anxious passengers. "Follow me," the figure urged, voice low and insistent. They turned abruptly, striding toward the entrance with determined strides. Christine and Lucas exchanged one last glance, a moment of questioning. Then they sprinted toward the figure just as the lights flickered ominously above. The door slid open, revealing a darkened tunnel beyond, the faint glimmer of emergency lights tethered to walls slick with dampness. It felt alive, wrapped in shadow, breathing a heavy darkness that only deepened Christine's unease. What awaited them outside? What had they truly agreed to? "Do you trust me?" the figure asked as they stepped through the threshold, casting a sidelong glance at Christine. "I don't have much of a choice," Christine shot back, her voice tinged with defiance. "Right," the figure nodded, an unreadable expression shifting beneath their cap. "Choices have brought you to this moment, but you need to be ready for what comes next." They ducked into the tunnel, and Christine felt the air shift, cooler and fraught with tension. Each footfall echoed ominously, a reminder of the danger pursuing them above. The rumble of shouting faded, but Christine could feel the danger lingering like a specter, always just out of reach. "Where are we going?" Lucas prompted, voice steadier than Christine felt. "To safety," the figure replied cryptically, casting a glance back at the dim light falling away behind them. "But we have to keep moving. They'll be looking for you." Christine's heart raced at the thought. Who were they? And why were they after her? Another flicker of doubt slipped into her mind, a reminder of the risk rolling out in front of them. "What is your name?" she finally asked, pressing for the first glimmer of clarity. The figure hesitated, a breath caught between them. "Names don't matter in the dark," they finally answered, a hint of sadness layering their words. "Call me what you will, just don't look back." They quickened their pace, leading Christine and Lucas deeper into the tunnel. Shadows warped into shapes, twisting with the flicker of lights. Christine couldn't help but feel watched, every sound twisting into whispers of threat. Her breathing was shallow, electricity buzzing beneath her skin that a sudden clang echoed from behind them, reverberating through the narrow passage. An inky figure, silhouetted against the light from the subway, broke into view, distorted and monstrous beneath the shadows. Christine froze, heart pounding like a war drum. "Run!" the figure in front of them shouted, lunging forward. The sense of urgency propelled Christine and Lucas into action as they pushed forward, the darkness swallowing them whole. The tunnel twisted and turned, a labyrinth veiled in secrets. If only they could find their way out. With every step, the echoes of pursuit grew closer, harsh panting and desperate shouts mingling with ominous sounds. Christine glanced over her shoulder, dread pooling in her gut. "Lucas, we can't," she began, her voice laced with panic. "Just keep going," he urged, determination hardening his features. "We can't stop now, we need to find a way out." They pressed on, the oppressive weight of the darkness shifting and morphing around them. It felt alive, almost sentient, a slow churning in the depths that begged them to turn back. Suddenly, the passage opened into a wider chamber, illuminated by an eerie glow. Strange symbols and engravings lined the stone walls, glowing faintly in the dimness. A feeling of dread washed over Christine as the figure stepped forward, revealing their face. For a tiny flicker of time their features were sharp, etched with experiences that felt too intense for this moment. "This is where it begins," the figure said, voice echoing off the walls like a haunting refrain. "What do you mean?" Christine asked, anxiety rolling through her. "Those who stand against you will soon learn the truth. They're closer than you think. And when they find you," just as they spoke, pained screams erupted from behind them, piercing the quiet space, chilling Christine to the bone. "Run!" the figure shouted again, urgency igniting their every word. Into the shadows. Heart racing, Christine lunged forward, uncertainty clawing at her. Shadows shifted behind them, the darkness pulsing, threatening to envelop. She knew this was just the beginning, and whatever awaited beyond felt as dark as the tunnel itself. What truth lay hidden in those shadows? And would they escape the horrors nipping at their heels? Or would they become just another whisper lost in the dark? Christine plunged forward, driven by adrenaline. The shadows chased them, clawing hungrily at their heels. Her heart hammered in her chest as the screams echoed behind them, ringing in her ears like a sinister melody. Every instinct screamed at her to look back, to see what terror was pursuing them, but the figure's words loomed larger than her fear. Don't look back. The wide chamber morphed into another passage, this one narrower and more claustrophobic. The walls seemed to pulse, almost breathing, pushing against her as if they were alive and angry. Lucas stumbled next to her, his hand reaching out to steady himself against the slick wall. What is this place? He panted, his breath misting in the cool air. Some kind of underground network, the figure replied, their tone crisp, hinting at an unsettling familiarity with this dark abyss. Once it was filled with people, but now they trailed off abruptly, leaving the heavy silence to hang. Now what? Christine pressed, her voice rising above the thundering rush of her pulse. The figure hesitated again, glancing at them over their shoulder. Now it's a burial ground for secrets. Panic surged inside her. Secrets did not bury themselves. They escaped, and they clawed their way into the light. The memory of the screams behind them rushed back, pushing her onward. We can't stay here, she urged, desperation creeping into her voice. Without another word, the figure turned sharply, darting into a side tunnel. Christine and Lucas felt the mantra of survival urge them to follow. The darkness thickened, wrapping tightly around them. It felt claustrophobic, crawling under her skin. They ran, driven by sheer instinct, the tunnel narrowing until she barely had space to breathe. Suddenly, ahead of them, the tunnel ended abruptly. They skidded to a halt, nearly colliding with the figure. The walls here were a jagged rock, and they were faced with a massive iron door, ancient and imposing. The figure stepped forward, slamming their palm against a rusty panel beside the door. It shuddered, emitting a metallic groan that echoed against the stone. This is it here. Quick! Christine shot a glance back into the labyrinth they de-emerged from, the chatter of distant voices mixing with the whispers of the shadows. What is behind this door? She asked, fear creeping back into her veins. Hope, or your end. It's your choice, the figure said, their voice steady, but Christine noticed a tremor beneath its surface. Lucas looked at Christine, eyes wide with determination. We have to find out. We can't go back. His voice was steady, but his hands were shaking. His conviction struck a chord within her. She nodded, heart racing. Together. With a final thrust, the figure pressed against the door one last time. It creaked open, revealing a stark light that poured from within like molten gold. Christine braced herself as they stepped forward into the brilliance they entered. Shadows slipped behind them, retreating as if afraid of the light. But just outside, the distant screams grew more frenzied, almost desperate. Welcome to the edge, the figure said, stepping aside to let them enter. Christine's eyes widened as she took in the sight. They stood on a precipice overlooking a massive chasm, a dark pit glowing ominously with swirling energy. A surge of dread crashed over her like a wave, pulling her deeper into the mystery. What is this place? Christine whispered, her voice trembling slightly. It's where choices become consequences, the figure replied. And you're about to make one. Before Christine could voice another question, something sleek and shadowy darted from the chasm, racing toward them with furious speed. Fear gripped her as she felt the very air around her tremble. Out of the darkness, a familiar figure broke through, illuminated momentarily by the light. Lucas! Christine screamed, recognizing the face of another friend, someone she thought was lost in the chaos. But he looked different. Distraught and desperate, he raised a hand as if warning them. Get away from there. Before Christine could react, the shadows coiled around them, and a decision loomed ominously ahead. Would they trust the figure's warning, or leap into the unknown, trying to save a friend? As the chasm beckoned, she could feel time slipping away. Choices turned dangerous in the blink of an eye. Would they make it, or would they too become part of the dark tale unfolding in the shadows? What awaited them on the other side? And would they discover the truth lurking there, or would they be consumed by it? Christine's heart raced. The shadows quivered as they slithered closer, whispering secrets she could hardly comprehend. Lucas's eyes brimmed with chaos, reflecting the horror of their situation. "Lucas," she shouted again, but his desperate gaze was fixed on the other version of himself. Confusion gripped her. Was it really him? Or something darker, something twisted emerging from the chasm? "Don't listen to him," the figure warned, sidling protectively closer to them. "You don't know what he is now, what he has become." "Stop!" Christine screamed, torn between the familiarity of her friend and the fear pulsing within her. "What do you mean?" The figure's response was swallowed by the growling shadows, which intensified, their sinister presence suffocating her. "Time is slipping," the figure urged, desperation creeping into their tone. Lucas's other self took another step toward them, his expression pleading and urgent. "Christine, just come with me. You have to trust me." It was his voice, she could hear the sincerity in it, yet it warred with the swirling energy before her, filled with dread. "No, you're not my friend." She wanted to lunge toward the dark, wanted to yell at the shadows for what they had taken from her. But taking a step toward that entity felt like stepping into the abyss itself. That moment, the figure gestured toward the chasm, where swirling tendrils of darkness spiraled and teased like serpents. "This is a test. If you choose to trust him, you'll be lost. If you remain, you have a chance." "A chance? But a chance at what?" Her mind flooded with thoughts, choices, regret, sacrifice. "What will happen if we leave?" she asked, searching the figure's eyes, hoping for a glimpse of certainty in this chaos. "You'll escape at least for now, but the truth will still be waiting for you. It always is." The other version of Lucas moved forward again, shadows flickering around him, his demeanor betraying a shadow of the boy she once knew. "Let us get out of here, please." The figure's warning rang in her ears like a siren, a threatening melody that warned of impending doom. Christine felt the cold sweat on her brow and the slight tremble in her hands as the weight of decision plunged down on her. Lucas looked torn too, desperate. The two choices loomed: jump toward the familiar and risk being consumed, or retreat with the unknown in a dark world ahead. "Christine," he called again, his voice raw with emotion. "Remember all we've been through. Trust me." "Trust you?" she countered, every word heavy. "I don't even know who you are anymore." And with each passing second as the shadows howled hungrily, she noticed what lay beneath the surface of the familiar darkness, secrets aching to be uncovered, answers that could either bind them or set them free. Christine glanced at the figure by her side, who had been oddly quiet, watching her with haunting eyes. Then came a sudden earth-shattering tremor beneath her feet. The ground shook violently, jolting her. Lucas's other self stumbled, revealing the darkness swirling, eager to consume all light. "Choose," the figure cried, as the shadows lunged forward, growing stronger, intent on taking them all in that moment. Christine felt her resolve ignite. No matter what she had to confront, the darkest truth might still breathe life to her hope. Should she confront the shadows? Or turn away, leaving part of herself behind? The chasm pulsed angrily, twisting in a frenzy. It beckoned her, demanding she make her choice. Both paths were fraught with danger and uncertainty. With a heavy heart and fiery thoughts whirling, she closed her eyes, took a breath, and stepped forward. But just as she was about to leap into the unknowing, a blinding light erupted from the chasm, blinding and intense, wrapping around her and blurring the line between reality and despair. Would the truth still be waiting when the light faded? Or had she just sealed her own fate in the depths of the abyss? The echoes of her choice hung in the air, like a time bomb ticking toward the next moment of clarity. The light enveloped Christine, blinding her senses and drowning out the chaos. For a moment, she felt weightless, suspended in an ocean of light that pulsed with intensity, pulling her in and threatening to drown her in its brilliance. As the glow slowly faded, Christine found herself standing on solid ground once more. She blinked against the afterglow, her surroundings shifting into focus. She stood in a spacious room, plastered walls glowing gently, adorned with symbols she didn't recognize. The air felt charged, crackling with a kind of energy that made her skin tingle. "Welcome to the Nexus," the figure beside her said, their tone carrying a hint of reverence. "Here, we shape our destinies." "Where are we?" Christine's voice trembled, an echo of uncertainty ringing in her ears. Lucas stood beside her, a mix of confusion and exhaustion etched across his features. The figure gestured to the expansive room, hinting at passages that twisted into darkness beyond. Each path leads to a different fate. Each choice made here will ripple through the threads of reality. Christine caught her breath as she looked around. It felt like something out of a dream, beautiful and terrifying all at once. What does that mean for us? What choice do we have left? The figure stepped closer, their expression softening. You wield power here. The choice you make now can not only save you, but can alter the very fabric of what's ahead. Save us from what? Lucas asked, genuine concern evident in his voice. What are we up against? The figure pointed to a glowing portal at the far end of the room, shimmering ominously. There lies the darkness you just escaped, and it hungers for you. If you wish to confront it, to save those you love, and to uncover the truths that bind you, you must pass through. But no, whatever emerges from that portal is not just a mere shadow. It's the culmination of every fear, every enemy, and every secret you've ever harbored. Christine felt a knot tighten in her chest. She thought of the woman who had risked everything for them, of the shadows clawing at their heels in the alley. And if we don't go through, then you cannot grow, the figure replied, a somber gravity settling around the room. You'll remain stagnant, trapped in the shadows of your past, and the darkness will eventually take what is rightly theirs. Her heart raced with the weight of it all. The choices she faced echoed in her mind, to confront the darkness or run away. Lucas, she looked at him, pleading for his strength. What do you think? Lucas's eyes shone with determination, a flicker of hope igniting in the storm. We've come this far. We can't go back now. We have to face it together. Christine nodded, feeling that bond tether her to him more than ever. Together, she repeated, mind focusing on a singular goal, finding that hope, shattering the darkness once and for all. With resolute steps, they approached the portal as its edges shimmered and pulsed like a heartbeat. Christine felt the depths of her courage intertwine with uncertainty, a thin line connecting fear and bravery. They exchanged a glance, an unspoken promise of solidarity. Let us do this, she said firmly, her heart steady. Hand in hand, they stepped toward the portal, feeling the surge of energy washing over them like a tide. Then, without hesitation, they crossed the threshold together. The world unfolded before them, the echoes of their past coalescing within the darkness. Images flashed, memories of laughter, tears, fears, and triumphs. It all rushed by like a storm, and as they plunged deeper into the unknown, Christine clung tightly to the warmth of Lucas's hand. In an instant, they emerged into a swirling maelstrom of shadows, the air thick with tension and dread. Figures loomed around them, familiar faces warped by darkness, morphing into threats. But Christine felt her conviction solidify, a beacon of hope shining through even the thickest gloom. The shadows closed in, but she stood tall, resolute. I will not be afraid, she shouted, pushing against the darkness, ready to fight for the light. Neither will I, Lucas echoed fiercely, summoning the strength radiating between them. Together, they faced the looming abyss, prepared to break the chains binding their pasts. This was the moment of truth. They were not merely victims of fate, but architects of their destiny. As the shadows surged toward them, Christine took a deep breath, ready to unleash their combined courage and break free from the hold of despair. Are you ready? She asked, confidence swelling in her chest. More than ever, Lucas affirmed, and together, they stepped forward, illuminating the shadows with their fierce determination, knowing that they would change everything. The darkness shattered with a blinding light, and in that moment, hope surged not just for them, but for the world that needed saving. And as the echoes of their fight faded, Christine and Lucas stepped into the future, no longer haunted by shadows, but living as the heroes they were meant to be. Now, as they ventured into their new lives, the lessons they learned and the bond they forged would carry them far beyond this moment, into a brighter path filled with endless possibilities. This was just the beginning. You need to subscribe now to make sure you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support is what makes this community shine.